Hey, everybody, welcome to the Jimmy Dore Show. I'm here with Ron Placone and the Miserable Liberal.
I'm miserable.
My collar's a little big. Anyway, so you know that the Senate Democrats, Chuck Schumer, led the way. He made it possible that we could deregulate Wall Street just 10 years after the biggest crash ever. So our friend Chrissy Hayes, Chrissy to Chris, he says Senate Democrats teaming up with Mitch McConnell and Donald Trump to deregulate banks is something else.
Hard hitting.
So I know, right? That's a straw. I bet he'll never say that on his own show, but he said it there. And what I said to him was, is it as bad as you being paid $30K a day by Comcast to show Trump's empty podium instead of showing Bernie? After which you then wagged your finger and blamed activists with no money or power for Trump? Is it that bad or worse? Hashtag Trump enablers.
Jimmy, that was something. This is something else.
So I just I don't let pieces of it like Chris Hayes try to point the finger at anybody else. He did more than anybody to make sure that Trump became president and that the vote was depressed. Here's Nancy Pelosi, the Republican Congress has proven they are more interested in giving a break to big banks and ensuring we don't drag working families back to the devastation of the Great Recession. She's wagging the finger at the Republicans when we all know it couldn't have happened if Chuck Schumer didn't allow it to happen. He could have killed the bill, and he didn't. So Chuck Schumer told his friends at Wall Street, don't worry, it's happening. We're going to get you how many Democrats you need to pass this? What do you need, 10, 12? We're going to get you 16. Don't worry about it. And here they are, list of shame. The Democrats that just voted to roll back Wall Street reforms enacted after the 2008 financial crash. Look at all those Democrats. Now, you notice Chuck Schumer's name isn't there because he voted against it. But because he knows that he can say that, knowing that people won't put it together two and two, that he actually is the leader of the Democrats, and he could have made it so that the bill never got a vote. He could have made sure it didn't go through what they call the motion to proceed. You need 60 votes for that. He could have made sure it didn't happen. He didn't, Chuck Schumer. So it's the Democrats who are, again. Here's Joy Reid. She was responding to somebody, dude, all candidates raise money from corporate donors. Wake up and retire this silly talking point. And what is the effect of all candidates taking corporate money? By the way, they don't. That's just a blatant falsehood. That's not true. They don't. Ro Khanna doesn't. Bernie Sanders doesn't. There's even a conservative in Congress who doesn't. You know what the result of that is? Tim Kaine brings Wall Street fundraising muscle to the Clinton campaign. Tim Kaine calls to deregulate banks as he campaigns to be Clinton's VP. As they're campaigning, he's doing that. And here's Joy Reid. I'm with Senator Warren on this. What on earth is possessing these red state Democrats to join Republicans in rolling back Wall Street regulation to let banks reopen the casinos that crashed the economy in 2007 and 2008? Joy, that's what it is. Why do you act so stupid? Why do you act like it's a mystery, some kind of Rubik's Cube, on why the Democrats are horrible and why we need a third party? You said it right there. So she said that in August of 2017. And what did she say? This is of March of 2018. So just a few months later, she's like, what on earth is possessed? She's baffled.
Didn't see this coming.
She's baffled.
This came out of nowhere.
Here, baby, this will help clear it up for you. Here's all the money they took from securities and investments. There's the bank money they took.
If only Joy Reid had access to this kind of information, Jimmy, maybe
only.
she would be able to be more informed.
Walter Bragman tweeted out her tweet. She said, this is the most incredible tweet I've ever seen from someone who covers D.C. politics. Really? What on earth could be motivating this? Kamala Harris is a cop. I follow her. She says, amazing how there's always just enough Democrats in office to help pass shitty policy, but never quite enough to pass meaningful policy, even when they have a supermajority. Just enough Democrats to get shitty policy, never enough to get great policy, even when we have we didn't get one super progressive thing done when Barack Obama had complete control of Congress. Not one. He gave us a right-wing healthcare plan. He expanded, made the banks bigger. He kicked 5.1 million families out of their houses to shore up the banks. He then let the unions get devastated. He took us from 2 wars to 7. He propped up the military-industrial complex. He expanded the surveillance state. Not one goddamn progressive thing. And you wonder why we got Trump?
And then what happened on that Twitter thread is that Chris Hayes retweeted it and said, "Sure is something, ... LOL, shrug emoji."
So Glenn Greenwald talked about this. This was from an article, I think, back in 2010. So this is from when he was still writing with Salon. And he was talking about the Democrats just played chicanery with the public option on the Barack Obama Health Care Act, right? What was that called? The Obamacare? What was
Affordable
Care.
Affordable Care Act?
Affordable
ACA?
Care. ACA?
You almost sounded like Obama
I know.
there.
It's the Affordable Care Act.
This is Glenn Greenwald speaking. He says this is what the Democratic Party does. It's who they are. They're willing to feign support for anything their voters want, just as long as there's no chance that they can pass it, which is exactly what I said when all those 14 senators, Cory Booker, Kamala Harris, joined Bernie Sanders in single payer. And I said as soon as it becomes viable, and it might happen, they're going to find a way to go against it. They won control of Congress, meaning the Democrats, in the 2006 midterm elections by pretending they wanted to compel an end to the Iraq War and Bush surveillance and interrogation abuses because they knew they would not actually do so. And indeed, once they were given the majority, the Democratic-controlled Congress continued to fund the war without conditions, to legalize Bush's eavesdropping program, and to do nothing to stop Bush's habeas and interrogation abuses. Gosh, what can we do? We don't have 60 votes. I remember when they were saying that all the time. He goes on to say, Ezra Klein, who's generally quite supportive of the White House perspective, reported last week on something rather amazing. Democratic senators found themselves in a bind because they pretended all year to vigorously support the public option, but had the 60-vote excuse for not enacting it. But now the Democrats will likely use the 50-vote reconciliation process to get that bill passed. So how could they and the White House possibly justify not including the public option? So what did they do? They pretended in public to demand that the public option be included via reconciliation with a letter that many of them signed, and thus placate their base. See, we really are for it, while conspiring in private with the White House, which expressed sharp resistance to the public option, to make sure that it wouldn't really pass. So this is Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer coming out saying they're against this bill that deregulates Wall Street, but they secretly behind the scenes made sure it would happen. The only thing I wonder about is whether Washington Democrats are baffled about the extreme enthusiasm gap between Democratic and Republican voters, which very well could cause them to lose control of Congress this year. And they proceeded to be wiped out for the next 6 years in state legislatures and on the national level. Wiped out. Complete Republican takeover. I wonder about whether the Washington Democrats are baffled about the extreme enthusiasm gap. By enthusiasm gap, it is meant that the very people who worked so hard in 2006 and 2008 to ensure that Democrats became empowered are now indifferent, apathetic about whether the Democrats keep it. Even as crazed and an extremist as the GOP is it remotely possible that the Democratic establishment fails to understand not only why this enthusiasm gap exists, but also why it's completely justifiable? This was him back in 2010. He got this 8 years ago. He was on it. Clear as a bell, he saw this happening. I don't know if the Democrats realize when they have complete control of government, they don't do anything that makes people excited about them. All the enthusiasm gone because they didn't do anything they said they were going to do. Nothing. They, as Cenk Uygur says, it was change on the outside, continuity on the inside. All Barack Obama's cabinet came from an email from Citigroup. And then people yell about Trump putting Goldman Sachs people in. It's just a joke. So that's how this works. So as many Democrats as they need, they're always going to get enough, just enough to screw you over, which they're doing. Unless it helps their donors, which is what the Affordable Care Act did. The Affordable Care Act helped people, but it really helped their donors. The Affordable Care Act really made huge profits for the health insurance companies and Big Pharma. Huge profits.
And Nancy Pelosi told us just this year, the Democratic Party isn't going to do anything different.
People don't want to change. Nancy Pelosi, people don't want to change.
You mean your donors?
Yep, that's what she means. Their donors don't want to change. Their donors like the Democrats losing. So that was a grab. I don't know how I found that article by Glenn that he wrote that about the Affordable Care Act and Obamacare passing. But you can put that in any, and then just they went on 6 more years of doing nothing for people and wondering why they're getting wiped out. And wondering why they lost to Trump. He predicted this. Okay. You know, on Monday, March 26th, we're doing a live Jimmy Dore show in Austin, Texas. There's tickets still available. And in March 30th, we're doing a live show in Burbank, California. There's tickets still available for that show. The 25th is sold out in Austin, but the 26th is available. Please make sure you become a patron. You can help support this show. We give you hours of bonus material every week. And also, please make sure you're subscribed if you can. It only takes a second, and then click that bell. Make sure you get a notice every time we drop a video. That's how we got it. We got to fight. That's the only way we can fight back against the man. Thanks for your support. And we're on Steam It. We are steaming it right now.